Hey yo, what is up, everybody? Coach Chad here, CEO of the Next Level Coaching Academy, creator of the Assistant Coach Academy, and also creator of this podcast, the Fit CEO Podcast. Fit CEO Podcast. Is that correct? I don't know why. I just came back from a run. I'm a sweaty mess. I'm out of breath. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you can literally see the beads of sweat pouring off my forehead. But I believe my own podcast is called the Fit CEO Podcast with Chad Mullen. All right. So, the reason I just wanted to hop on and start recording is just came back from my run, feeling a lot better. But today was a hard day for me, and you're going to get a different side of Chad, probably a side of Chad that you haven't seen yet. And this is Chad's vulnerable side. I know I have like this persona of being, or at least from what I've heard from others, I have a persona that I'm a little hardcore, and people view me as hardcore, which is probably mistaken for passion. I am definitely hardcore, but I'm extremely, extremely passionate about what I do. And I'm definitely a go-getter, but I am human too. And I do have a vulnerable side, and I do have a soft side. A little fun fact about Chad is a Cancer. Chad, I don't know if you guys believe in, I forget what it's called. But you know, all the different Virgos, Leos, all that, I forget what that's called, but I am a Cancer, and I know the Cancer typically has a softer side. And if you guys believe in the Enneagram, I'm an Enneagram 8. All right. So I do have a very hardcore side, but I do also have a very soft side. Nonetheless, today was a rough day for me. Honestly, the month of September has kind of been a rough month overall. It's been the first challenging month I've had in business in a really, really long time. And I think what's been most challenging about it is not being able to pinpoint where the particular challenge is coming from. I've had a lot of consults with different mentors of mine. I've had consults with friends of mine. Seems like it's a common theme in the industry right now that a lot of coaching programs are going through a rougher time. Maybe it's just the state of the world. Maybe it's just the time of year, but it's definitely been weighing on me more than usual. Usually whenever there's like a tough week or a bad day in business, I usually can just like say, all right, strap up, put in the work, let's get it done. This month's been a little bit different, putting in a ton of work, but not really seeing a whole ton of reward. And it's probably been one of the worst months in NLCA's history, and one of the worst months in my business history collectively. So that's provided a whole set of unique challenges. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about, from a mindset standpoint, how can we overcome these specific battles? How can we overcome having bad days? How can we overcome having bad months? How can we overcome having bad weeks? Hopefully not bad quarters, hopefully not bad years. But hopefully we can shorten the cycle and just make it a bad couple of weeks or even a couple of days. All right. So I wrote down 3 things that I specifically do to get in the right mindset, right? Because the right mindset to overcome any business challenge is one of which has perspective, one of which has passion, meaning like ready to fight, ready to take on the challenge, and also one that is clear, right? One is wow, I can't speak right now. One that is relaxed, right? Because if we have clouded judgment, if we have emotional judgment, if we're thinking of 1,000 miles a minute, then it's going to be really, really hard to actually make decisions that help you overcome the mindset hurdle or business challenge. All right. So I'm going to dive into these 3 points. These are the 3 things that I've been doing to try to get over, more specifically this day. This day has probably been one of the roughest, but anytime that I get in a rut, these are the 3 things that I do to get out of it. All right. So let's break it down. And like I said, you're probably like, wow, this is totally a different side of Chad. I've never seen this side of Chad. But let's break it down. I hope this provides value. I hope you guys appreciate my vulnerability. I hope you guys can relate in some aspect as well. All right. So point number 1 is communication. All right. So you have to communicate. What that means to me is communicate your feelings, communicate what's going on, and have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of. All right. I'm going to shout out my business partner, Dayla here. Her and I have been in communication during this slump a lot. We've been talking back and forth, not even sometimes about strategy, but just talking about how we're feeling, talking about, man, that like this sucks, right? Like just being open and honest about certain situations. So first things first, have somebody that you can communicate with. Maybe this is a business coach. Maybe this is a friend, like a colleague. Or maybe it's somebody that has nothing to do with the industry. Maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's I don't know, just somebody that either has nothing to do with the field, or somebody that does have something to do with the field. I can see value in both, right? If you just want to vent, it's probably going to be to somebody that isn't in the field. But if you want to bounce ideas off somebody, it's probably going to be somebody that is in the field. But nonetheless, you have to communicate what's going on with somebody, and you have to communicate potential ideas and strategies with individuals as well in order to improve. So first things first, have somebody to communicate with, and make sure that you actually use that person. Sometimes I fall into the trap where I'm so hard on myself that I actually don't communicate with others. And I've gotten a lot better at this, but back in the day, I was pretty terrible at it. I would just hold everything in. I'd get angry. I'd get stressed. I'd get anxious. I'd put all the blame on myself. And I would just really just beat myself up. Actually, I've gotten a lot better at communicating my feelings, and it's made a world of difference. So that's number one. Number two, have something else outside of whatever is giving you trouble to decompress. So for me, it's exercise. For me, it's also, going out, like going out to dinner or going out to grab a couple of drinks with friends, just something else aside from the thing that's giving you trouble or the thing that you're struggling in, to actually decompress, right? So whenever we get worked up, stressed, anxious, that is all energy. And sometimes what we do is we're self-deprecating, or I think that's the right word. Maybe not. Maybe self-deprecating means shit yourself. No, I think I'm thinking of defecation. I don't know. Fuck me. Anyways, it's defeating, right? What was I saying? Yes, sometimes we get all of that energy, that anxious energy, that stress energy, and it's defeating because we project that energy back into the thing that's giving us trouble. Let me give you an example. So let's say I'm getting really worked up that we're not getting results in a certain thing in business, and then I go ahead and I take that energy and I take it out on another staff member, or I take it out on a client, or maybe I don't do any of those things. Maybe I just start randomly doing a project that doesn't have to be done, and actually is more of a detriment to the business because it takes all my employees' time, and it's working on a project that has nothing to do with the actual issue. See what I'm saying? Sometimes we can take that nervous energy, that stressed energy, that anxious energy, and we can project it back into the thing that's already giving us trouble and make matters worse. All right. So it's really important to have something where you can decompress outside of the thing that you're trying to improve. Right. So if it's a relationship, something else outside where you could take that energy out on something else. Right. If it's a business, same thing. If it's fitness, same thing. If you're angry about fitness, or stressed about fitness, take out that energy on something else that isn't fitness, right? Because usually, like I said, that energy is very self-deprecating. I think that's the right word. I hope I'm not saying shit yourself. To give you another example, in the fitness context, right? You're getting really frustrated that you're not losing weight, so you don't eat the whole day, right? Or you exercise like for 5 hours straight, right? Obviously, that's not a benefit. We all know this as health people, but that might be a example that resonates a little bit more. All right. So point number two, always have something where you can decompress outside of the thing that you're trying to improve. So for me, it's exercise, it's hanging out with people, it's doing something that I can just get my mind off business. That's a very hard thing for me to do, is get my mind off business. But if I'm in the middle of a very hard workout, or if I'm in the middle of like really stimulating conversations, I will forget about business. So those are two things that I lean on. All right. This last one is probably counterintuitive to what many mindset people talk about, or what we believe, right? So this last one, let me say what is intuitive. All right. So most people try to avoid problems. Most people are avoiders. They just want to avoid it altogether. If business is going bad, they'll just avoid making sales calls, or avoid doing DM outreach, or avoid posting, or avoid communicating with their staff. If relationships are going bad, they avoid having the conversation. They avoid hanging out with their spouse. If health is going bad, they avoid the scale. They avoid MyFitnessPal. They avoid healthy food. They avoid all these things, right? So my advice is stop avoiding and fight it head on, because here's why. All right. I like to view all my problems as dragons, and I like to view myself as the knight or the warrior. Laugh all you want. It's just what helps me. Okay. So the way that I view this is, if I'm able to slay that dragon, then metaphorically I can slay bigger dragons, right? So it builds my confidence every time that I have these struggles, every time I have a bad business day, or every time I have a bad day, and whatever it is. If I fight the challenge head on, then I know I can slay that dragon the next time it happens. Then the next time that particular business challenge happens, or relationship challenge, or health challenge, I know I can step up to the plate and solve that challenge immediately. And I'm ready to take on newer, bigger challenges, right? Because if we want to be successful, the level of success that we have is to the degree of the level of challenges that we can take on. The more challenges we can take on, the bigger challenges we can take on, the more successful we are going to be. All right. So that's my standpoint. A lot of people will say, they don't directly say, hey, avoid your problems, but they say, oh, take a bunch of time off. And, I'm fine with that to a certain point, right? Like, for me, that's like, go for a run, go for a walk, maybe take a day off, but you don't want that to create more problems. And what I mean is, if I had that thought process of just take time off, maybe I take one day off and I'm like, that felt pretty good. I kind of avoided my problems. Then I take another day off, then I take another day off, then I take another day off, right? And then that creates this whole new problem that I'm not actually addressing the problem. And then the metaphoric dragon that we're talking about gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Right. So I'm all for taking some time off, but it needs to be short term. It needs to be, go for an hour jog, an hour walk. It needs to be take the evening off. If it's really bad, take the day off, but get right back to it and have that mentality that you are the warrior and you are taking on your own dragons and you're slaying your own dragons. Because if you can't learn to slay your own dragons, if you can't build the confidence to slay your own dragons, then you will not be able to surpass. I'm going to bring up a video context here. You will not be able to surpass that level and then level up and level up and level up, right? Because that's another great way to look at it, actually, now that I'm really thinking about this, is business is all about leveling up, right? Until you face the master. You never actually face the master because you're always getting better in business, but there's always a new challenge or a new level where you have to fight a new boss and then another boss and then another boss and another boss or another dragon, right? Whatever word you want to use there. But if you guys have ever played video games before, every level you're fighting a bigger and bigger metaphoric dragon. Well, it's the same thing in business. Every time you level up, you're going to have to face bigger and bigger dragons. And until you face those dragons head on, you can't actually defeat it and you can't actually level up. All right. I know I'm going on a ramble here. I hope you guys appreciate this. I'm gonna wrap this up. Like I said, I was super passionate. Like, I literally just got back from my run and I was like, man, I should probably really talk about this. Not many people get to see this side of me. And there's a lot of value here on how I handle specific challenges. All right. So wrapping this up, in summary, number one, communicate. Have somebody you can communicate your feelings with. Have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of to strategize to get past your specific challenges. Number two, decompress. Have something else outside of the thing that you're trying to improve that you can actually burn some energy on. And then number three, always have that fighter mentality, always have that warrior mentality so you can continue to defeat your dragons, level up, and beat bigger and bigger dragons. So guys, hopefully you appreciate this. If you did, please screenshot it, tag me on Instagram so that I know that you appreciated it, and I will chit chat with you guys next time. Peace.